This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
So much for staying tuned and welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Omasha saying welcome to our Benin Network Center. Yes, Benin Network Center. Last week was the Lagos Network Center. So today is all about International Forum beaming live from South, Nigeria. Okay, today on International Forum, we're taking a look at what is going on right now in Iran. Over 2,500 reportedly killed. And the Iranian protest. The question now is what's next for the supreme leader, Ayatollah? That's the question in the hearts and minds of so many spectators, so many protesters. What about the people that have been killed? What about Iran as a country? Do you feel that Iran will remain the same again? With so many lives being lost. We're seeing brutality, according to some reports, at its peak. It's like a total clampdown on dissident, according to the supreme leader of Iran. All these and more will take a look at today's installment of International Forum. Remember also Donald Trump made a statement saying the people of Iran, the citizens of Iran, they should rise up for themselves and of course demonstrate. They should get back Iran. And he made a promise. They're considering, yes, probably airstrike, ground force, you just name it, to really help the people of Iran that are protesting come out tops. But the question now is, why the delay? I'm expecting a lecturer here from Uniben. I call him the Don, I call him the Prof. But when it comes around, definitely he's going to share his own point of view, his own mind, what is going on in Iran. So about Dr. Felix Osareme. All right, but join us virtually all the way in Benin City. I'd like to introduce political affairs analyst, political analyst, and entrepreneur. We'll talk about local and international politics. It's well granted journey to welcome Honorable Paul Ogido IGWC. Honorable, thank you so much for making our time to join me this afternoon. Can you hear me, Honorable? You can just please unmute yourself, okay? So you can hear me, just say something. We're trying to get the connection right. You just saw a pic of him when it's true reconnecting. You're going to his own point of view. But mind you, Iran right now is not the same as it used to be. For a very long time, people have been quiet. They call it suppression, that have been suppressed beyond, like, average human being should be suppressed. And right now, they are crying as well. Honorable Paul Ogido IGWC, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you so much for joining me on this particular discussion. I was zooming into the Middle East, Iran to be precise. You heard, and of course, you are aware of the bombardment by Israel that dealt a kind of a heavy blow on the Iranian nuclear site. All of a sudden, the citizens are now protesting against the government of the day, saying what they are seeing right now in Iran, they don't experience it in a very, very long time. Talking about poverty, talking about inflation, talking about anything that will make an average citizen to revolt against the government of the day. And as we have been accused of allowing the military to fall heavily on this civilian to the extent that they are using deadly weapons. Over 2,500 civilians gone down, maimed, killed. I mean, what do you have to say about all this?
Good afternoon, Mr. Winston. Good afternoon, all the members of the crew of ITV and Edo State in general. It's my pleasure to be here again. Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year.
What is happening in the Middle East, Iran in particular, is something that is not a surprise to anyone. Because looking at what has been happening in the Middle East, starting from the Israeli and Palestinian crisis and all, and the meddling of Iran with the US concerning the nuclear sites and the nuclear uranium developments of Iran, which is against the will of the United States and the UN, if I may say. If you put them together, you will realize that a thing like this was going to come up. And it's so unfortunate that it's happening now. The protests that happened there, first, let me start by letting you know that the Iranian leader and the government of Iran made it very clear that what is happening in Iran is instigated by the United States. That the people have come out to start a protest of this magnitude. The US, according to them, is at the very middle of this. And of course, this is not something you and I will argue. We have always known that Iran had been one of the greatest enemies I want to say very clearly here that what is going on there is going to lead to a very big war in the Middle East. And no one can dispute that. At the moment, the US have deployed its military might in that area, in the Middle East, for a possible attack on Iran. I want to say that we are yet to see how Iran will meander its way around these problems and see how they can come out of this strong. But what we are seeing now, the posterior analysis that is coming out from Iran, that whatever the US does, either the US or Israel does, whether it's an attack on a building, an attack on any spot in Iran, will be regarded as a full-blown war. And they are ready to take it up with the US. This is to say that what will happen in the Middle East, in Iran, is going to, affect everything that happens in the Middle East, not just Iran, but the Middle East at large. So we are yet to see how it's going to unravel.
All right. Now, you opine that Iranians are accusing the U.S. of being behind the protest, but the U.S. are saying they're not the ones behind this protest. It's because of the government of the day. The people are responding or reacting to the style of leadership. If you take a look at Iran right now, their currency is way down, as in worse than the Zimbabwean dollars. If you take a look at the inflation rate, it is so high. Coupled with the fact that right now they've experienced or are still experiencing severe droughts, very bad. Talking about the ones they've experienced years ago is not as worse as what they're experiencing right now. So how does it really have to do with the US? Can you hear me? Are you there? Okay, right now as it stands, it's like we will take a short break so we can make one or two adjustments to get connectivity going for us to have, an uninterrupted interview session with Honorable Paul Ogido Aighi. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away.
Ugeni Madonna, Imazedion, Overo, Ovesniagbo, Emanazo, or Ugeni Madonna.
You will have to serve the community for 30 years before you come to this stage. They will ordain you or your title. Then by then you are one of the elder.
This year now, we don't read the year, so that's why we can do this year.
Historically, joining the Elders Council, an individual must have reached a certain age and must have made significant contributions to the community through leadership, service, or other meaningful ways. There was jubilation in the community as sons and daughters of Okada, both at home and in the diaspora, trooped out to be part of the ceremony with various homes of the initiates agog with festivities. Friends and well-wishers of those initiated into the Elders Council jubilated at the Ogwedion after performing all traditional rites. The elders, known as Edion, in company with their loved ones, danced to their various homes where guests and family members were entertained.
ITV, certainly the best.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. Sincere apologies for that, breaking transmission. Well, our engineers are on top of the situation to see if they can reestablish contact with Honorable Paul Ogido that joined us virtually. Still trying to do that. But right here with me in the studio, he is a lecturer. Uniben. When we talk about international relations, he is well grounded but local. International politics. Jometo, welcome to me. He's a prof. Yes, Professor Felix Osaime. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your coming.
Yes, at home. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
All right. Now we are zooming into the Middle East from what Honorable Paul opined. He said America, US specifically, is a country responsible for what is happening in Iran. How true are his assertions?
The U.S. is not the one causing hunger in Iran. The contest between the citizens and the state in Iran, is it the U.S. that made the price to spiral out of control? So I wouldn't want to be taken into such a cul-de-sac.
But are saying that due to the sanctions, the ban on Iranian oil, you just know these are the factors that precipitated the protests.
We should not be limiting the discussion to one perspective. There are a lot of issues involved. Is it the U.S. that said when the lady that did not cover her hair was arrested in 2022 and she died in detention and there was protest and citizens were shot and a lot of other persons disappeared? Is it the U.S. that also caused that? So you cannot blame the U.S. The U.S. may have created certain conditions, but the response of the government and some other actions the government has taken has triggered new challenges. So to say the U.S., I do not subscribe to that. But there are issues in Iran that trigger the response of the people.
Oh, no, let's dive into the issues, because The Supreme Leader is like saying that no matter what we say about this, they're still accusing the U.S., saying that they're the mastermind of what is going on in Iran. If you take a look at Iran as a country in the Middle East, wants to really dominate the Middle East, if not for the intervention of structure, so to speak, of the U.S. and their allies in the Middle East, do you feel that this man, the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah, is taking this thing to the next level in trying to quell the protest? Over 2,500 persons killed already in Iran.
That is even the one the Iranian government openly admitted. The number that Amnesty International is estimating is running to on over 20,000 already.
20,000 already?
Yes. Amnesty International's latest report on the response of the government to the protests in Iran has gone beyond the one. The official report is the one that is talking of between 2,000 and 3,000. That's the official statement. But meanwhile, in a situation where there's internet blankets and telecommunications have been put on hold, and there's a lot of freeze on free flow of information, which in the context of the Western world is a fundamental human right and has been withheld by the government of Iran, then you begin to wonder what exactly is going on. But factually, the citizens are holding on to a moral ground. They are aware of the fact that protests against the government will be met with stiff response. The Iranian Republican Guard Corps will not sit back and allow people to overthrow the government. But that's what the protest is tending towards now. It's becoming a revolution of sorts. And the response of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, even the judicial officers are giving prosecutors free hand to demand the maximum penalty for protesters, which means death sentence. So the regime is thinking of its own security. The people are demanding for better lives, and open society. And this is going to be difficult because the Iranian society is a theocratic state. The Ayatollah, the mullahs, they are the ones that dictate policy to the bureaucracy. The state is constructed along the religious line, not the democratic political line. The only difference is that it's not as fundamentalist as that of Afghanistan, but it's just a walk down the road. Because they are building their society using the Islamic argument of the Sharia. That is why ladies must cover their hair. There are so many restrictions that the West sees as restraint on fundamental human rights. But they will tell you that this is their own belief system. And going back to the issue of the discord between Iran and the United States, that one is a long-drawn argument. They've been at each other. Of course, remember Ahmadinejad used to describe America as the great Satan.
Yeah. And
Ahmadinejad has only then, as the president of Iran, openly said it that Iran has a fundamental nuclear right to have nuclear weapons. And the Iranians have not hidden that desire. They are pushing that narrative. And that is the bone of contention between Iran and the United States of America, because whatever it means to anybody that cares to listen, the Iranians are pushing as much as they can to get the ultimate weapon of war, which is the nuclear weapon. And there'll be a lot of misgiving to believe that, oh, if Iran gets it, they'll use it on Israel. We should not even be carried away by the fact that the Iranians are not Arabs. They are Muslims, but they are Persians. And their brand of Islam is the Shia brand of Islam, which is not the mainstream that is pursued in Saudi Arabia, which is the Sunni brand of Islam. So the Iranians are a thorn in the flesh of Saudi Arabia, not just Israel. And these two, Saudi Arabia and Israel, are the closest allies of the US in the Middle East. So draw the picture very well. Now you understand the issues on ground. Israel is on one side, the eye of America in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is on the other side. They are ally in the Middle East. So these two allies are sworn enemies of Iran.
So that Iran right now, according to at least battling to survive, is it due to religion or due to belief or due to preserving the territorial integrity of that country called Iran?
Their territorial integrity is not in question. That is not their challenge. Their challenge is their mode of governance. I just explained that they are a theocratic states, and that's a state that is formed along the lines of religion. And what is their religion? Islam. And they are fundamentalists. They go for the strict code, the Sharia. And when you put all these things in comparison with most Western democratic values, then you will expect that there will be a collision. There will be collision because some of those values that they insist on are at variance with the values that we consider as fundamental rights. That's why I took you back to the case of 2022, the young lady that exposed her hair. Somebody will say our own hair, but in their own concept it is
sacrilegious.
It's a taboo. And the sacrilegious act was what led to her arrest, and she died in custody. In their custody. So while she was in custody, whether it was a harsh treatment, whatever happened, she lost her life in detention, in custody. So that was what sparked that protest. Now when the protest started, some people were sentenced to death for protesting. Some of them have been executed. I'm talking of 2022. And we're in 2026, and the protest for this year is based now on economic adversity. Those that started the protest were looking at the rising cost of what they were selling in the mosque. And it started as a small upset. Now it is snowballing. It has now become a nationwide uproar. So the government will use strong arm to repress such what they call dissent. And as usual, they have already pointed fingers at America. The Americans are encouraging their people to protest against the government.
So from your own analysis, are they really encouraging the Iranians to protest against the government? Don't forget that Ali said something. America is the one behind all these protests.
That is the reason why they shut down the internet. Because if they live stream, they upload, they record and post videos on different
platforms,
the world will know what exactly is going on in Iran.
And you just hold on, want to go for a break. We'll return, we'll continue with the discussion. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game. Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin Aqua Seed. Ayo or Aqua game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Aqua game is played with carved wooden box containing 12 holes.
Thank you so much for staying. If you just joined us, this is the International Forum, and of course I have Felix Osayeme, a lecturer in UNIBEN. We talk about international relations. You just name it. Is well grounded in this kind of discussion. Now you talked about some president that died in detention. Yes, you also opined about the way Ali is running the government because the president is subservient, so to speak, to the supreme leader. When you talk about Iranian hierarchy and the way they give orders, and of course trying to make sure that the society maintains this decorum and decency in regards to their Islamic belief. Is it about the belief right now of the people, or what the people really want? Are they aiming at a regime change? If yes, do you think it will be possible?
Regime change will be difficult to bring about in Iran. I didn't say it's impossible, but it's very difficult under the circumstances because the government has a lot of supporters too. And we'll find that most of those who are protesting are in one form those who are disadvantaged economically due to the long history of sanctions that has been imposed on Iran. Then there is a second challenge. The exposure to developments in the world is motivating them. That is why Iran blames America continuously. Oh, the Americans are the ones instigating, because these people are seeing how others are living in different parts of the world, and they are yearning for such system. But they can also not run away from the fact that their background is not exactly the same as those of the people they are trying to emulate, possibly in the western part of the world. So you find that the contradiction therefore exists, where people desire something and they are existing in a different spectrum. And this is the challenge. How are they going to cross the divide? Like you rightly observed, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is not going to fold his hand and wait for them to chase him out of his office. First, they hold a duty to maintain law and order. The disproportionate use of force against the protesters is what is the issue here. It's not their demand. The government is not saying they should not demand. The government is saying that they are excessive in their demand, and the government is not using excessive force to repress them. If, for example, they went out to say, okay, we are doing passive protests, we are not going to come out of our homes, we will not go to work, we will not go to school, nobody will be shot inside their house. But because they came out, there has been destruction, mosques have been burnt. The government is now defending public infrastructure and its integrity, because one of the conditions of being a government is the ability to maintain law and order in the best interest of the citizens. So they are calling some of those people dissidents. Not everybody in Iran is protesting, but there are protesters.
And many have been killed already.
Many have been killed, many have been detained, many are already being arraigned for trial. And the religious leaders, even the judicial officers, are asking prosecutors to demand maximum
That is death penalty for those
as
protesting.
a way of deterring others. But protest is still going on.
So what do you feel is behind this protest? Despite many of them being killed, they are still coming to say enough is enough. What is behind it? If it's not targeted at redeem change.
It is a desire for a better life. If the government suddenly initiate programs now that will uplift their economic condition, many of them will step back. They didn't ask the Ayatollah and his religious group that manages the government to step down initially. They were asking for opening of the economic space. That was what started the protest. It started from those who were selling in the mosque.
In the mosque.
We are not talking about those who were not paid their salaries, because that's not the challenge here. They are saying that the price of items are spiraled beyond their control. And that is the challenge, because this is where the sanctions come in. There are essentials that they will demand, which they cannot get because of the sanctions that are in place. But there are people who are opportune, who are elitists, that get those same opportunities. And this is almost normal in such countries. And the Iranian regime, as it is presently constituted, has always seen itself as the victim of Western imperialism. That is why their rhetoric is always that it is the West that's the cause of their problem. Even if they are at fault, they will pass the blame to the West.
The West.
And that has been the claim they've been making for years. But that claim is no longer holding firm in the current dispensation, because young people are open to source of information and they cross-match responses.
Responsibility, yeah. Now, if you take a look at Iran right now as a country, well, let's say as a nation, you get to see these guys coming out en masse, despite the fact that most of them have been terminated prematurely. When we talk about the lifespan, some people are of the opinion that they are doing this because of the promise made to them by the U.S. President Donald Trump, promising assist vis-a-vis military bombardment, maybe foot soldiers to come aid the Iranians to at least make do away, so to speak, rather. Ali, did you see this happening? I mean, because people are being killed, they are still coming out. What do you have to say about this? Linking it to Donald Trump's promise of sending aid.
It will be foolhardy of them to believe that America will invade Iran.
Why would you say that?
I said it will be foolhardy of them to believe, because America will not invade Iran.
But Trump made a promise.
He made a promise. It is first to be seen whether American interest is adversely affected. If they had gone to the American embassy, which is not the situation now, or there's an American base, or there's an allied state to America that has critical interest in Iran, and those things were attacked, yes, I would say Trump would likely respond. For example, when Israel went after Iran last year, America supported Israel. They came in with a bunker busting bomb and they dropped it in Iran. Then they had an interest. Now, citizens, the first thing is to create that chaos. Now, the citizens will go against their government. There will be a lot of uncertainty. Some will run out of the country. There will be international pressure, as it is going on now. We are discussing Iran right now.
Yes.
This is part of the narrative. Then, the internet has been shut down in Iran, though some high-level officers still have access to the internet.
Yes, that's true.
So, you see, there's a mass blanket on information leaking out. And independent journalists, independent assessors are not allowed to come in. So, nobody can pinpoint exactly what the government has done wrong. So, what we are even saying now are more of accusations. We need to go in and get facts. Although they got some videos in the first week in January, when the protest became very expressive, from around January 10th, before the internet was shut down, where some morgues had body counts of over 250 corpses, and people were being asked, citizens, to go and check for their relations and their friends. Many of them were wailing, and they were running from one point of the city in Tehran to the other. So this was indicative of effort by the government to repress the citizens. But that does not take us away from the question you asked, that why are they doing it? They are doing it because that is what every government will do. Unless on that very funny situation where you see a government will just say, okay, people are protesting, we have given up. Governments didn't give up like that. There must be this response, and the first response is to try and snuff out
the dissent, so to speak.
The dissent. And that dissent that is being snuffed out is what leads to loss of lives. Because the government's claim is that people started protesting, they began to vandalize and destroy public property. And the government has a duty to protect those things and to protect other lives. In the process, it's not a matter of the semantics. How many lives have to be lost for more lives to be protected? That's where we are.
How many lives?
Yeah, because the government is holding on to maintaining control. And I mentioned the point just now that there are different forms of protest. There can be passive protest. You can actually, people can actually even come and do a sit-out. Depends on the way it is organized. But one thing is likely to happen. Once people come out en masse, there must be likely rupture of peace, and that will now lead to response from
the government,
the authorities.
Now, for what is really happening right now, people know that many presidents have lost their life in this particular protest. Do you see them sitting by, standing by, retreating or advancing with their causes right now in court?
Well, today is
27th
of
January. Yes.
The protest has been on for 3 weeks now.
Yes.
And it is not abating. So, you ask this question, what is fueling their passion? What is it that is encouraging them, even with the strong arms deployed by the government, the shootings by the Iranian Republican Guard Corps, the arrests, those that are being tried, and the government is demanding maximum punishment, death sentence.
The death sentence.
Which is supposed to deter them. Many of them are still willing. I'm sure the government wants to exhaust.
Because they're still pushing forward.
Yes, the government wants to exhaust the people. And the people are pushing. The government is saying, okay, you guys want to push, we are ready to receive. And we'll continue to slam back. But eventually, something has to give. And I'm believing that the government may blindside the people by beginning to offer them palliatives. Because what started the argument was not the demand for regime change, it was the demand for better economic opportunities.
All right.
And the government will just allow them to whip up their emotion, and at a point, release of packages that will stem or blunt the tide of their protest.
Now, you said the government also do have supporters.
It does.
But we're hearing about the protesters. Do you see the supporters also marching out to the streets to sing the praises of Ayutthaya Ali?
If they start to do that right now, there will be more crisis, because it will now be two camps colliding in this space.
That is 1 for 1 against.
Good. So that will lead to more loss of lives. The government may not want that immediately. The government may want to ease off the pressure of this current protest before they will now begin to start down. Even right now, they are doing their propaganda already, but not with the same mass appeal that the protest has. They started doing propaganda. Official propaganda is going on. That's why I said some officials and elitist persons that have access to the internet, they are posting, commenting the government for even making efforts to keep society orderly. So people are speaking for
the government.
Yes, people are speaking for the government. No government is considered totally bad or totally good. Just as you have supporters, you also have those who do not like what you are doing. So in Iran, it's the same thing. And meanwhile, some that have been able to run out of the country, even within Iran, there's also another undertone of oppression that the government is using. The government is also excluding minorities such as the Kurds from benefits. And the government is arguing that some areas have been taken care of, some are yet to receive support. So the government is asking people not to believe too much that everything can be done at once. The government is not even, it's not just try to stop the protest is also putting up a case for itself.
Putting up a case for itself. Is that case that is putting up by this particular, is it enough to sway the people from protesting?
The protests are started. You see, sometimes when emotion has gone high, it has to if you boil water, water does not cool immediately.
True.
It takes time. It's a crescendo. It goes up, it calms down. So this is what
depends on the source or hates applied to that particular fire.
Motivating the people. And the passion, as I said, their passion has been inflamed. The protests, the shootings, some people have been shot in the street.
True.
And this is against the United Nations Convention on how to manage peaceful, because these people are not armed. They are citizens. They are civilians. They didn't take up arms against the government. They are demanding from the government, and in the process of demanding from the government, there have been some breaches of peace and security. That's what the government is cashing in on. You say, oh, you guys have done this, you went out of your way, you violated the rules, you burned down mosque, you broke public equipment. So the government is using that as an excuse and an opportunity to rein in the citizens.
Now, how do you think all this will pan out? Is it going to go the way of Ali, or the killing will continue?
I do not see the government of Iran becoming suddenly contrite and apologizing for the loss of lives or anything. No. Rather, the government is going to enforce its position to the detriment of the citizens.
In what ways?
By deploying more enforcement officers to the streets.
That is more police, more military personnel, shoot outside, shoot to kill.
Yeah, they started, because they've already started shooting. And that is the only thing they can do now, because they brought out their strongest response.
Yes.
Which is to shoot, to incarcerate, and
execute to some extent. But now, killing members of the society, killing the Iranians, will that be a lasting solution? Remember that they had this president, which you rightly said, 2022. Right now, we're in 2026. The same person was saying that this president has greater intensity.
This has been the most intense protest in Iran, and this has had the toughest response from the government. That's why I said it is as if they have locked horns. And the government is not going to likely back down, because the government knows that backing down at this stage would mean the government has lost its grip on power. And it won't want to do that. But the people are not armed. So they are using the method of psychological warfare against the citizens by deploying force, by using the military, by using the judiciary, and by openly condemning such acts as unpatriotic. So in all this narrative, they are pushing the burden back to the same citizens that are demanding for better opportunity. And that is why I said, if the citizens had maybe started from passive protest to open contest with the government, that would have been one side. But they have reason to come out on the streets. It is their fundamental rights. The United Nations regulations on the management of protests by civilians that are not armed specifically recommend that minimal force should be used. Presently, Iranian government is using maximum force.
Maximum force.
But they have not deployed automatic weapons, because it's not a state of war.
No, hold on, because we do not know if they deployed automatic weapons. Because for them to kill over 2,000, according to their own report, I'm not necessarily saying that they've killed over 20,000. What kind of weapons will be powerful enough to give that particular number in terms of casualty? Over 20,000.
Let us be very clear that a protest that has started and has lasted for more than 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
In 14 days, which will be, I'm concerned. I feel for them. But let's assume that 15 persons die every day. That's already 150,000. If 100 die every day, that's already over 1,000.
Over 1,000, yes.
And this is still continuing. And the deaths do not result only from maybe shooting, which we cannot establish at this stage because there's internet blackout. In the process of massing around, people can suffocate, people can get trampled upon. And the government will say, if you are stayed in your house, that will not happen. So go back home. So the argument is coming from both sides. I'm not speaking for the Iranian government. I feel for the Iranian citizens. But I understand that in the game as it is, the reality is that lives will be lost. Whatever decisions are being made now, people will die.
No matter what.
No matter what. And in that way, people moved into the streets. Because the government, if it was a peaceful protest where you can deploy police to escort them around,
yes,
nothing like that will happen. But some of them have gotten out of way. Emotions have gotten very high. Tempers have fled. And passion is raging. So what do we do here? Wow. The government is insisting that it will maintain its position. Now, what are the demands that people have for the government? Straight up, improve the economic condition of the country. Why is the economy bad? Sanctions are in place, and the government spends millions of dollars developing its nuclear enrichment programs. So that's where most of the money is going to. If such money is reversed to public and social infrastructure, people will not have this kind of emotional outburst that they are having. But the government will tell you that it has to set its priorities by setting standard. And because, as we will say, it's not a democratic government, you cannot vote them in or vote them out. The part that they vote are subject to those who are the religious supreme leaders.
All right.
So these are the contradictions in Iran.
It's like a lot of contradiction. Ayatollah is saying that his stand remains his stand. Now, do you see that particular protest or this particular protest affect that assumed position of Iran as a #1 country in the Middle East?
Iran has...
Because according to them, they are the superpower in that particular region.
They are very powerful. Iran has vast territory, has vast resources. Even with the regime of sanctions, Iran is still doing very well. Of course, you know Iran has ties with China and Russia. So support still comes in. And Iran herself is a force to be reckoned with in the Middle East. Iran is developing weapons to bring her to the level of those very powerful states that determine her fate at the moment. And that's why those ones don't want them to have that power. Then, in their conflict with Israel, Iran has been supporting Hezbollah. Supported Hamas to an extent, but it's mostly Hezbollah through Syria. So Iranians are not people that should be wished away. Their power is known in the Middle East. And because of this factor, anything that comes from Iran is taken with all seriousness that it deserves.
All seriousness. So for what you can feel right now, it is not going to perturb the position of Iran. You mean Ayatollah would just get this under control without interference? And this guy will just die almost for nothing.
The government has not declared martial law yet. They could soon do that. They've started doing curfews at night to restrict movement. They will soon do a blanket martial law. And once that happens, anybody that will be seen outside will be shot at sight. Now, they've not started doing shoot at sight. They are saying that they are controlling protest. It could get to that. To that be the citizen versus the state.
The state.
It has not reached that level yet. But people are still protesting. They still go out, still buy, sell, protest. And the government is still asking them to stop protesting.
Wow.
So it's a complex matter. And so the longer it stays, the more complex it becomes.
So you're saying Ali is not backing down?
If
protesters are not backing down. Nobody is backing down. So the shooting and killing should continue?
I'm not saying it should continue. I'm saying it is continuing because their position at the moment is irreconcilable. Once they come to a compromise, things will change. And they have not been able to reach a compromise right now.
So you're saying right now we should write up before Donald Trump cannot aid or attack Iran because of the citizens?
No, Donald Trump will not send American soldiers into Iran. Unless he's planning to do extraordinary rendition, the way he did in the case of Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, which
Yes.
is not the issue right now here. And I don't think they have the kind of openness that they saw in Venezuela. It will not be in Iran.
All right,
Iranians
thank you.
They are consulted differently.
Thank you so much, Prof. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. If you want to advise the protesters, should they back down or should they continue? Briefly, our time is up.
They should explore alternative means of reaching the government and letting the government grant them what they are demanding. But if they are pushing for regime change, that will not happen immediately. Because they will need to do more to get regime change. And so for regime change to happen, there must be a revolution. And for the revolution to happen, there will be greater loss of lives.
All right, well, you've heard them. One Professor Felix Osaeme, we have this disconnect with Honorable
You
Paul.
are pronouncing me a professor. I'm not a professor.
Of course, so not to me, you're a prof. You know, when we come to the studio, you know, when you start giving off lectures, how A led to B and all that, I know that the audience will definitely agree to the fact that you were grounded on international relations. Thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thank you for having me in your program.
We keep monitoring to see how Ali is going to handle. He calls them dissidents and is accusing America for being behind the protests in Iran. These people succeeding in what they really wish to achieve, which might just be regime change or for a better life for the Iranians. We'll keep watching, keep monitoring, and we'll always report back to you on this platform on the international forum. See you again on Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.